Nobody cares. Not about your plans. Not about your ideas. Not about the vision that keeps you awake at night. Nobody cares. Until you win. Right now, your effort is invisible. Your discipline is unnoticed. Your sacrifices completely ignored. You wake up early, tired, heavy, still carrying yesterday's stress inside your chest. And yet, you move while the world sleeps. You're already fighting your thoughts, fighting resistance, fighting that quiet voice whispering, skip today, rest a little more, you've done enough. But deep down, you know the truth. Enough is never enough when you're building something bigger than comfort. And still, nobody sees it, nobody praises it, nobody cares, because struggle is silent, growth is slow, and progress rarely makes noise in the beginning. People only celebrate what shines, not what suffers in the dark. They don't see the pressure you live with, the uncertainty, the constant tension between hope and doubt. Don't see you staring at the ceiling at 2 a.m., wondering, is this working? Am I wasting my time? How much longer can I keep going like this? And the hardest part, you keep showing up anyway, smiling when you feel exhausted, pretending confidence when fear is loud, acting strong when you feel anything but strong. But the world doesn't care about internal battles. It only reacts to visible results. Nobody applauds discipline, they applaud dominance. Nobody respects consistency, they respect success. Nobody admires the grind, they admire the glow up. That's why the early phase feels brutal, lonely, cold, unforgiving. Because when you're unknown, support is rare, encouragement is conditional, belief is fragile. People doubt you casually, as if your dream were entertainment. Still working on that. You haven't made it yet. Maybe you should be more realistic. Realistic, the favorite word of those who abandoned their own ambitions long ago. They call it realism, but most of the time, it's fear disguised as wisdom. Fear of trying, fear of failing, fear of committing fully to something uncertain. So they project that fear onto you, not because they hate you, but because your persistence reminds them of what they gave up on. And if you're not mentally prepared, their doubt becomes contagious. Their skepticism starts living inside your head. Their limitations begin shaping your decisions. Slowly, silently, dangerously, you start hesitating, delaying, questioning moves you were once confident about, not because you changed, but because you listened too much to voices that never built anything extraordinary. Here's the uncomfortable truth. If you quit today, most people wouldn't even notice. No dramatic reaction, no emotional speeches, no desperate attempts to stop you. Your dream would vanish quietly, as if it never mattered, because to them, it didn't, and that realization hurts. But it also reveals something powerful. You were never doing this for them, not for applause, not for validation, not for approval. You started because something inside you refused to accept an average life, because deep down, you saw a different version of yourself, stronger, sharper, unrecognizable, a version that doesn't beg for respect, but commands it. But to reach that identity, you must survive the phase where nobody cares, where effort feels pointless, where progress feels microscopic, where doubt feels heavier than motivation. This is the filter, the invisible selection process of success. Most people don't fail because they lack talent. They fail because they cannot endure invisibility. They need early validation, early praise, early reassurance. They want signs that they're on the right path. But success rarely sends confirmation emails. It tests it, delays, it pressures, it watches how you behave when rewards are absent, when recognition is zero, when effort feels disconnected from outcome. That's where champions are, separated from the crowd, because winners understand something critical. Silence is part of the process. Being ignored is part of the journey. Feeling underestimated is not a curse. It's the default setting of ambition. Nobody believed in your potential. Good. Nobody supported your early moves. Better. Nobody noticed your sacrifices. Perfect. Because now, you're building a mentality that doesn't depend on external approval. A mindset immune to indifference. A discipline that survives without applause. That's dangerous, because once someone becomes unstoppable internally, external circumstances lose their power. Rejection loses its sting. Doubt loses its weight. Delay loses its frustration. You keep moving, calmly, relentlessly, inevitably, and then, one day, the results appear, not gradually noticeable, but shockingly undeniable. Now, people see you. Now they respect you. Now they listen carefully to every word you say. Suddenly, I always knew you'd make it. I believed in you from the start. I'm so proud of you. Funny, because when you were struggling, they were silent. When you were doubting yourself, they were absent. When you needed belief the most, they were nowhere. But now they show up. Because success attracts attention the same way light attracts insects. But by then, you've changed. You're no longer driven by proving them wrong. You're driven by standards, by identity, by internal power. Because you remember everything. The lonely mornings, the anxious nights, the invisible progress, the moments you almost quit, and most importantly, you remember that nobody cared, but you continued. Nobody supported, but you persisted. Nobody believed, but you built anyway. And that is why your victory was never luck. It was earned in silence, forged in doubt, built in isolation. Nobody cares until you win. So stop waiting, stop explaining, stop seeking approval from spectators, build, improve, evolve, quietly, ruthlessly, patiently, because when you win, they will care, but you won't need them anymore.